So there has just been a gigantic ID leak, and this one is even more scary than other ones because this is actually from a government database. The French government's database used to secure identity documents has been breached, and millions of records are exposed. 19 million citizens have been exposed, and this is actually really scary because, again, this is a actual government ID portal. You'd expect this to be pretty secure. France's ANTS portal, which issues passports, national IDs, driver's license, has been breached. Up to 19 million French citizens could be affected. The Ministry of the Interior has confirmed the breach. If you are French, assume your identity data is exposed. Like I said, in other similar type of ID leaks before, this one is actually worse because a lot of these were done from some sort of third-party age verification vendor, meaning you were verifying your ID for like a social media or whatever, and some third-party ID verification vendor got hacked, and that's how your information got compromised. But no, this is actually worse because this is the actual government themselves. It just goes to show how unsecure their platform was, and they were expecting you to just trust them with your age verification information. And I know people are going to be like, oh, this actually doesn't have anything to do with age verification. This is just government ID portals in general, which just has your information for driver's license and stuff like that. Well, yeah, but that's the point, right? If the government ID portal can get breached and all these millions of people can be compromised, how many of us can be compromised with the whole world's government's push to have ID age verification on every social media? How are we supposed to expect that the government ID portal is going to be that flimsy? Now we're all going to be even more scared to give our IDs up to social media companies because if the government can get hacked, then anyone can. But anyways, ANTS is the French government's main platform for secure identity documents. It is not a third-party contractor or a startup, and this is exactly the point that we were making. This is the official system that handles your passport, national ID card, and driver's license. When this kind of data leaks, it is not like a shopping app breach where you can just change your password. Identity document data is permanent. You cannot change your date of birth. So what was exposed? Well, according to the official notification sent to affected professional account holders, the breach detected on April 15, 2026 resulted in unauthorized access to, man, this is really bad, full name, login credentials, professional identification data, authorization and accreditation numbers, in some accounts, postal address and phone number. The broader consumer side exposure confirmed by the Ministry of Interior adds date and place of birth, identity verification data. This is all the information someone would need to impersonate a person. So people in France could have their identity stolen just because the government was too incompetent to handle their information properly. And obviously, when it comes to France, it's pretty funny because France is one of the hardest pushers of ID age verification throughout the world. The French president has already made several statements about ID age verification and talking about the fact that it's for the kids. We need to protect the kids. In fact, France is actually planning a social media ban for kids, I believe, under 15, and he is a huge supporter of it. So it's not like this is one of those things where like France isn't up for ID age verification. They definitely are. So hopefully this is a wake-up call to them like, wait, hold on. If our government ID portal got hacked and all this information got out, then how much of our stuff is going to get hacked when we force people to send over an ID on social media? And so this one is going to really hit hard because think about the proportion of the population that got affected by this. How serious is 19 million? France has about 68 million people. So with 19 million affected accounts, nearly 1 in 3 French citizens had their data exposed in this government breach. Imagine that. 1/3 of an entire country is now at risk of getting their identity stolen. That is insane. For comparison, this is bigger than the 2017 Equifax breach in the UK and involves government issued identity data, not just credit card numbers. If it was just credit card numbers, that would be bad, but it's not that bad. But over here, it is like all your information that anyone would need to just steal your identity like that. So what the official letter says, France's official letter to the people who got their information leaked, they sent breach notifications to professional account holders. The letter sounds polished and reassuring, saying you have no action to take and all necessary measures have been taken. This follows the usual approach for incident communications. The letter does not explain how the attackers got in, how long they had access before April 15th, whether regular non-professional accounts were affected in the same way, or if the data has already been sold or published. The lack of information about how the attack happened is the most concerning part. Until that is explained, it is not clear if the problem really has been fixed. The real risk, targeted phishing and identity fraud. With names, emails, dates and places of birth, addresses, phone numbers, and ID verification data all in one data set, attackers can do 2 things especially well. One would be spear phishing, which means sending highly personalized emails or making calls that use specific details about you to build trust before trying to get something more valuable, like your banking credentials or one-time passwords. If you get a call soon from someone who knows your siren number and postal address, this is likely the reason. Identity fraud can include opening accounts, taking out loans, or getting past KYC checks in your name. It is harder to fix, especially when the original data came from a government source that other institutions trust. Exactly. If this was just some sort of third-party age verification vendor that got hacked, obviously that's bad, but it's not quite as bad as the actual government getting hacked. So what you should do, obviously, be alert for suspicious calls and emails. Do not confirm personal information to someone who calls you, even if they already seem to know it. Monitor your credit and banking activity over the next weeks and months for any accounts or applications you did not start, and report anything to the government. If you're a professional account holder, review your portal activity. So yeah, it's a very gloomy situation. It's like there's really nothing you can do. And I wanted to go over their official letter over here because, as this person pointed out, shout out to Tech Falcon for writing this tweet. The letter that they sent the people is not very reassuring at all. So this is the official Google translation of it. If there are some sort of errors, if my French speakers could correct anything, let me know. But they basically go over the fact that there was a security incident, an email address, professional ID data, your authorization or approval numbers, and other data present only in certain accounts. So as the tweeter said, they said, as soon as the incident was detected, technical investigations were carried out by the relevant departments and all necessary measures were taken. Therefore, you do not need to take any action. I really don't like that wording there because they make it seem like, oh, yeah, your information got leaked, but we took care of it. Don't worry. I mean, it's not something that you have to worry about. No, you should be very worried if you were part of this data breach because like that tweeter was saying, all of your information is now out there. And what the hell is the French government going to do with the investigation? Even if you catch the hackers and put them in jail or whatever, that's not going to make it so your information isn't out there. That's like rule number one of the internet. Once you put something on the internet, it will be there to stay forever. So no, they can't just say, oh, you don't have to take any action. We're going to take care of it. They need to explain how the hell this happened. This is the actual government ID portal of France. This is not some sort of third-party age verification vendor like Persona or something. The fact that they don't give any explanation on how the attack happened, how long the attackers had the information for, what they're exactly going to be doing, and how they're going to prevent this from happening in the future. They didn't say anything like that. They're just saying, hey, you need to be vigilant, but you don't really have to like do anything. I mean, we'll take care of it for you. So the only thing that we have to go based on is the people who actually did the actual threat act themselves. They made a post saying, hello, today we are announcing a major compromise of the ANTS, the French government agency responsible for secure identification and legal titles. Despite their mandates on, quote, security, their infrastructure proved insufficient. As a result, we are listing a database containing 18 million records for sale. The 18 to 19 million records contain a wealth of PII, personally identifiable information, including full legal names, contact details, detailed birth data, physical addresses, account metadata, and gender and civil status. So for the French people out there that might have actually gotten caught in this data leak, they have access to all this information about you. First and last name, your street number, where you were born, when you were born, all this information. It is crazy. And they even included a line over here where they said, it seems the French government should stick to the culinary arts. Their digital defenses are as flaky as their croissants. These guys got jokes too as well. Oh my God. So anyways, disclaimer, this database is not related to any previously known database. The data is authentic and has not been fabricated or altered. So they're asking for DMs for offers and they're actually going to be selling this data and information. So again, I find it funny that the French government is like, well, yeah, guys, I mean, you don't have to worry about it or anything. I mean, we're going to take care of it. You don't have to take any action. They're actively out there selling your data as we speak. What do you mean you don't need to take any action? It's such a weird approach from the French government. But again, we shouldn't be surprised. They are the ones that are pushing for ID age verification throughout the world. As I said earlier, France is actually planning to ban social media for kids under 15, and they are aiming for implementation by September 2026, with apparently 79% of French adults supporting the measure. So France is already in the business of trying to collect everybody's IDs and trying to violate your privacy and stop you from using the internet without identifying yourselves. France's president is all in on this, and the fact that they don't even take this seriously and they're telling you, oh, you don't need to take any action or whatever is really telling, and it just goes to show how little they care about your privacy and safety. These are some of the statements that he made to justify this ban. We left you in this jungle and it robbed you of your attention. We need to slow down and help you become adults and above all citizens. Isn't that what a parent's job is? Pretty sure that's why parents exist, to, guide their children and steer them the right way. It's weird that people out there want the government to raise their children for them because I guess they're so incompetent as parents. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the situation in the comments. France's official government ID portal has been breached. So if that is able to get breached, imagine how many other ID age verification vendors out there that are requiring your information can easily be breached as well. Please leave a like in the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See ya.